welcome back to the Gentle Dog Trainers channel. I'm your host Olivia De Santos, and I might be joined later by my dog Pip, but today we are talking about caring for a sick dog. Now this is an owner's perspective. I am not a vet, but this is just to give you insight on our experience caring for a dog who is ailing. Now, as you may know if you follow the channel, we have two elderly dogs. One of those dogs, Blue, who is not up to being filmed today, but she has a few health issues, and last year we lost one of our dogs to cancer, who was also an elderly dog. So all of our dogs are much older in age, and as they get older they're much more likely to have very serious health conditions. So this is the perspective that I'm coming from, not from a veterinary perspective. Please do verify all information and all advice with your vet first. But I do think that this video will be helpful in understanding our experience managing our dog's illnesses and administering medication, and how it takes a toll on your mental health. But before we dive into the video, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. If you want to raise happy, healthy and well-behaved dogs, we make videos every single week on all things dogs. So if that sounds good to you, then click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell just below the like button, and let's dive into the video. So you might be coming into this video very early. Maybe you've just gotten a diagnosis for your dog and you want to know where to turn next. Well, the first steps will depend on your personality. So for me, I think it's very helpful to dive into the research first. Like, research everything that you can about this particular ailment. See the perspective of other dog owners that are dealing with this, and just having that basis of research can really help you. On the other hand, some people prefer to process the information before they dive into the research. It depends on what's going to calm your anxiety the most. So if it's going to make you feel better to just take some time to actually understand the diagnosis, to, remove yourself from it and just spend some time with your dog, that's great. And then you can go into the research process later. If you prefer to research first and then process the information, completely up to you. Think about how you are best going to deal with your dog's diagnosis. The next thing to do after getting a diagnosis is to understand the treatment plan. So you could have a treatment plan or a rehabilitation plan. If it's a physical issue, so for example a mobility issue like arthritis, or maybe your dog has had to have something amputated, then understand what rehabilitation they'll need and how you can support them in that. If they have a treatment plan, so if they're having pharmaceutical care, understanding with your vet, sitting down with your vet and understanding exactly what those medications are, how much they're going to cost. Here are a couple of questions that you should ask.
Do they need any special tools like wheelchairs to get around? How many tablets do they need to take and when? How often should your dog's checkups be? Are there any physical therapy routines you can do at home? What symptoms should you be keeping an eye on? For example, anything that's worsening. Are there any side effects to the medication your dog has been prescribed? And any other questions that are really weighing on your heart. So there are no bad questions.
Okay, so from my personal experience, here are the 5 fundamentals of caring for a sick dog. Now note, I have written a really detailed article about this topic, so if you want to go more into detail about any of the things that I speak about, do check out the link in the description box down below. It'll be the first link there, and that will take you to the article that goes into a bit more detail than this video will. Number 1 is to learn how to give your dog's medication safely. So you should definitely speak to your vet about this. Think about the size of the medication. Can it be crushed into food? Is it administered through food? When is it supposed to be taken? How often are they supposed to be taken? Medication can be really, really important to your dog's treatment plan, so understand how to give it to them. Blue takes oral medication and she has it wrapped up in a piece of ham. Some people use peanut butter and other things that makes the pill go down a little bit easier. The second fundamental of caring for a sick dog is to prepare an emergency fund. Now, you should have an emergency fund anyway, but having a pet emergency fund is really important if your dog has a diagnosis, because if you have any sort of emergency, then you know that you are covered. Of course, we recommend that you have pet insurance, but not everyone does have pet insurance. And even if you do, some things might not be covered by that insurance, so you don't want to be caught out. So prepare a healthy pet emergency fund, even if it's just a couple of $100s that you can set aside. That's better than absolutely nothing. The third principle of caring for a sick dog is to remodel your home. Now, this depends on how your dog is sick. So, for example, if your dog is losing their faculties in some way, like they are now in a wheelchair to get around, then you might need to remodel some things in your home. Make sure that they're not going up any stairs, maybe installing some ramps to make things a little bit easier for them. However, I will put an asterisk here and say that remodeling is not always a good idea. If your dog has CCDS, which we discussed in a previous video about caring for an elderly dog, and that is canine cognitive dysfunction syndrome or doggy dementia, it can be really confusing to them if you change the layout of your home for them. The same goes for if your dog is losing their sense of sight or their sense of smell. If that is the case, then try to keep things the same, but if your dog is losing their mobility in any, you might consider remodeling. The fourth principle of caring for a sick dog is to provide your dog with a happy life. Your dog is not their diagnosis. You should still emphasize providing them a really happy and fun life with whatever diagnosis they have. They should still have exercise, they should still get lots of cuddles, they should still play with toys, whatever they are able to do, because dogs are incredibly resilient creatures. They can do a whole load of stuff with one leg, or with a really, really severe case of cancer. They can still live very, very happy and vibrant lives, and it's up to you to bring that happiness to them. It really helps with staving off any kind of doggy depression which can happen, or increased anxiety. So please do remember to exercise, play, still have that joy in your dog's life. They are not their diagnosis. And the fifth principle of caring for a sick dog is to care for your own mental health. Now, caring for a sick dog is caring, and as a carer, you still need to make sure that you are okay. How are you coping with the diagnosis? If you are struggling in some way, or if their treatment plan is particularly labor intensive, then make sure that you are working in breaks or working in a system where you can get some support. Make sure that you are getting cared for too. This could be involving professionals like a physiotherapist to help you with any sort of physical therapy that your dog needs, or it could just be a friend or a family member that can listen to the troubles that you're going through, maybe even dog sit every so often so that you can take a break. And just making sure that you have someone to talk to. Now, there comes a time where we all have to consider letting go, and I cannot tell you when that time is going to be. Some people, it depends on the quality of life of your dog. Like if your dog's quality of life severely decreases and they're not living a happy and healthy life anymore, and their diagnosis is completely taken over, people consider letting go in that specific scenario. Sometimes it's because of some sort of traumatic event that spurs on that decision. Sometimes it's the advice of a vet. I cannot tell you when that time is going to be, but I do think that if your dog has a diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis, that you should consider what circumstances you would let them go. It's a really, really heavy topic. Please do give yourself grace in this situation. Speak to your vet, speak to people that you trust, people who support you. It's a really heartbreaking thing to have to let go of your dog. So the best thing to do is to prepare as much as possible in what circumstances you would consider making that choice, and so it will be easier at the time to actually make that choice. If you want to hear a personal story about this, then please do head to the article that I referred to at the beginning of the video. It's linked in the description box down below, and you can hear the story of how we had to let one of our dogs go. But I really wish you the best through this difficult time. I'm really sorry to hear that your dog is unwell. And my final takeaway for this video is that your dog is not damned by their prognosis or their diagnosis. There are many dogs that outlive their prognosis by a very long time. So the dog that died last year, he outlived his prognosis by about a year. So, you know, don't feel like it's a final sentence. Your dog can live for a very long time, so just focus on their happiness, focus on their comfort, focus on their joy, and this whole process will be much easier. I hope this video was helpful for you. It was really quite difficult to make, so comment below if this was helpful for you. Next time we'll be talking about something a little lighter. But if you have any questions about caring for a sick dog or caring for an elderly dog, then please do comment down in the description box down below, and maybe we'll make a video on it in the future. Wishing you all the best. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.